This story is written with artificial intelligence and completely unedited. The title Shadows over Millfield Chapter 1, A Murmur in the Dark. The town of Millfield was a picture of serenity. Nestled at the edge of civilization where the whispering forests met the calm, undisturbed life of its inhabitants. Its streets, lined with quaint cottages and small, family-owned shops, echoed with the kind of tranquility that could only be found in a place largely untouched by the outside world. Yet, beneath this serene exterior, a subtle unease began to stir. Like the first quiet ripples on the still pond. It began innocently enough, with small, almost imperceptible changes. Shadows seemed to linger a bit longer in the corners of rooms, stretching and twisting in ways that defied the natural light. These anomalies were first noted by the children, their imaginations alight with tales of monsters and magic, but soon, even the most skeptical adults could not deny that something was amiss. The local veterinarian, Dr. Helen Shaw, was the first to voice concern over a more disturbing trend. Pets, primarily cats and dogs, began to vanish without a trace. At first, these disappearances were attributed to the wanderlust of outdoor animals. But as the numbers grew, a pattern emerged that could not be ignored. The missing pets were not random, they all disappeared within the same vicinity. Near the edge of town where the dense forest began. The whispers among the townsfolk grew into a murmur of worry. Late-night conversations in the moonlit diner speculated wildly about the cause. Some believed a predator had made its home in the woods, while others whispered of old legends, long dismissed as fairy tales, that spoke of creatures dwelling in the shadows, guardians of the natural world, whose presence meant either blessing or curse. Alice Winters, the newcomer, listened intently from her secluded table. She had arrived in Millfield under the guise of seeking a quiet life away from the chaos of the city. Still, her true motive was driven by a passion for the unexplained. A cryptozoologist by trade, Alice was drawn to the anomalies of the world. Those creatures and phenomena that science refused to acknowledge. Millfield's murmurs of shadows and disappearances were like a siren's call, promising the possibility of discovery. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the town, a chilling howl echoed from the woods, unsettling the night's peace. The townsfolk, already on edge, took this as a sinister omen. The murmurs of fear grew louder, coalescing into a singular question that hung heavily in the air: what lurks in the shadows of Millfield? As the town settled into an uneasy sleep, Alice prepared for what she knew must be done. Tomorrow, she would venture into the forest, seeking answers. Little did she know, the shadows were watching, and Millfield's secrets were far deeper and more ancient than she could have imagined. The journey ahead would challenge the very fabric of her beliefs and unveil a reality where the line between monster and protector blurred. Chapter 2, The Hunter. The dawn broke over Millfield with a hesitant light, as if the sun itself was wary of what the day might bring. Alice Winters stood at the edge of the forest, her gaze fixed on the dense canopy that stretched before her. She was equipped for what lay ahead, her backpack filled with the tools of her trade: cameras, infrared sensors, and a variety of recorders to capture any evidence of the unexplained phenomena reported by the townsfolk. Alice was not deterred by the whispered warnings of her neighbors. To her, the unknown was not a source of fear, but of fascination. She had spent her life studying creatures and legends dismissed by mainstream science, traveling the world to chase shadows others feared to approach. Millfield, with its own emerging mystery, was just the latest chapter in her quest for understanding. As she stepped into the forest, the cacophony of the waking wildlife filled the air. Birds sang from hidden perches, and small creatures rustled in the underbrush. Yet, As she ventured deeper, a noticeable silence began to take hold. A pressing stillness that seemed almost deliberate. Alice's attention was drawn to the patterns of the disappearances. The pets had all vanished near this part of the woods, suggesting that whatever was responsible called this area its home. As she moved forward, her eyes scanned for any sign of disturbance, a broken branch, a displaced stone, anything that might indicate the presence of an unknown creature. It wasn't long before she found her first clue. A series of marks scratched into the trunk of a tree, too deliberate to be the work of any known animal. The marks formed a pattern, almost a language of their own. Alice documented the find, her mind racing with possibilities. Could this be a form of communication, or simply a territorial marker? She pressed on, determined to uncover more. The forest seemed to close in around her as she ventured further, the light dimming under the thick canopy. Then, she saw it, a shadow that moved against the natural order, slipping between trees with a fluid grace that was almost hypnotic. Alice's heart raced as she reached for her camera. But the shadow vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving her with a chilling sense of being watched. It was then that she heard the rustling behind her. Spinning around, she came face to face with Jack, the retired police officer. His sudden appearance startled her, but his intentions were clear. "I thought you might need some backup," Jack said, his voice betraying a hint of the same curiosity that drove Alice. "This town's been my home for years. If there's something out there, I want to know so I can protect it, or protect us from it." Alice saw in Jack a valuable ally, someone with the skills and local knowledge that complemented her scientific approach. Together, they continued the search, delving deeper into the mysteries of the forest. Little did they know, they were not the hunters, but the hunted, as eyes unseen observed their every move, gauging their intentions. The day wore on, with each clue leading them further into a web of intrigue that entangled the entire town of Millfield. The shadows seemed to whisper secrets just beyond their grasp, promising revelations that would change everything they thought they knew about the world. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of orange and red, Alice and Jack realized they were standing on the precipice of discovery. The true nature of the shadows over Millfield was close at hand, waiting to be unveiled. The question that remained was not just what lay hidden in the dark, but whether they were prepared for the truth it harbored.